My family, hi, welcome to another new on Truth and Love the Church with your brother Joseph. So I have a lot of, updates for you. Things are actually happening.
There's an update from Israel that the red heifer ceremony will take place. We don't know a date yet.
Well, 3 years ago, the arrival of 5 red heifers in Israel attracted global attention. Well, today, those cows are in ancient Shiloh. CBN's Chris Mitchell explains the significance of this historic event.
Here in Shiloh, first time after 2,000 years, we have real kosher red heifers, which is really exciting.
Mariah Shapir is the manager of the visitor center at ancient Shiloh and explains why the red heifers are so important.
In the Bible, it says when a person wants to enter the temple, which is called the House of Life, he has to go through a process using ashes of the red heifer, meaning that the red heifers are actually the key to the temple.
A man has been appointed high priest in Israel. His name is Baruch Kahan, a descendant of the priestly line of Aaron, a rabbi and expert in Mosaic law. He has been officially designated by a group of rabbis from the Temple Institute in Jerusalem in preparation for a long-anticipated moment, the restoration of service at the Third Temple.
I am Abdullah, the successor of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, the successor of the Comforter Ahmed, the successor of Simon Peter, the successor of Muhammad, the successor of Jesus Christ. I am the true and legitimate Pope. I am the proof upon the Christians. I am the son of the Muslims through my father and the son of the Christians and the Jews through my mother. I am the son of the East through my father and the son of the West through my mother. I am like Zulkarnain, who with one horn in the East and one in the West. And I am the inheritor of all that lies between. I am more knowledgeable than any false pope, and I am appointed by name in the will of the prophets. My name is also on the tongue of Isaiah, who prophesied of the righteous servant, and he said, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand.
Really interesting things are happening, The first video we just shared with you has to do with the red heifers, and you can do some study. I believe we're going to be uploading more videos concerning that also. And we also have a high priest who is descendant of Aaron, that is according to what they have been saying over there. And he has been appointed, to be offering, some of the sacrifices at the Third Temple. And we also remember President Trump was saying that he's going to ensure that, they take that Gaza Strip and the like, to make sure that there is peace between Israel and the Middle East. And we also have some of the news where we have this individual over here claiming that he is the Mahdi. A lot of stuffs are actually happening. So I just want to hear from you. What do you actually think about all these happenings? Could it be that the Lord is now coming at this particular moment? Do you actually believe that that guy is the Mahdi, the Antichrist and the like? And concerning things that have to do with the Antichrist, I remember sharing some videos with you. Let me play them for you.
Christians are waiting for the return of Christ. The Muslims are waiting for the Al-Mahdi. The Al-Mahdi is their Messiah. He's their last Imam. Muhammad was quoted as saying, his name will be my name, and his father's name, my father's name. In other words, Muhammad believed that the last Imam that's going to come into the earth and do all these amazing things, their Messiah, is going to be called Muhammad. That's what they believe. Stay there, go back, look at this. So look at this. The Mahdi is of my lineage, with a high forehead and a long, thin, curved nose. He will fill the earth with fairness and justice, as it was filled with oppression and injustice, and he will rule the world for 7 years. Hello? This is where I began to think, what if our Antichrist is their Mahdi?
So when I actually heard this, I started thinking of what Brandon Peaks was saying when he said that he thinks, or maybe by revelation, he actually figured out that Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, is actually the Mahdi.
On faster. They're even calling it. They're asking for the Mahdi. And I told you, I believe it was MDS. And so, Most people say there's no way.
I just started, entertaining that thought. I just gave it a thought, and I listened to what Prophet Tommy actually quoted here.
Waiting for the Al-Mahdi. The Al-Mahdi is their Messiah. He's their last Imam. Muhammad was quoted as saying, his name will be my name and his father's name, my father's name. In other words, Muhammad believed that the last Imam that's going to come into the earth and do all these amazing things, their Messiah, is going to be called Muhammad.
So from what Prophet Tommy is saying that that particular individual's name, he will have the same name as Muhammad, and his father's name will be the exact same name as Muhammad's father. So I actually looked at the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. His name is Mohammed bin Salman. So he actually has the same name as Muhammad. And I actually also looked up Muhammad's father's name, and I noticed that his name is, Abdullah. And I also checked out the father to the Crown Prince, that is the King of Saudi Arabia, and they are calling him Abdulaziz. And if you look up the meanings, they are just the same, the meanings of the name. Could it be a clue? You tell me in the comments below. I've been seeing your messages, my family, lots and lots of them. I may not be responding to some of them, but I actually see them. And some of you were worried, saying that, but why is it that this Antichrist is now appearing when the rapture hasn't happened? And others are also asking, a whole lot of other questions. Well, personally, I don't believe that that guy is the Antichrist, that he is the Mahdi. I really don't believe, but we'll just be hearing what various servants of God have been saying. But if we really look at what the scripture says in the 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 7, it talks about the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, but the one who restrains will continue until he is taken out of the way. He that letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So it talks about the church. So some of these things happening, for example, the manifestation of the Antichrist, it happens after the church has been taken. For those who want to have a greater understanding, things that have to do with the mark of the beast, the false prophet, the Antichrist, and some of those things, I'll just leave this video where Pastor Chris was explaining, part of the book of Revelation chapter 13, and he also made mention of when these things will be. All right, so do listen attentively. I'll make a continuation of this video. This is just your part one. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll meet you in the next one as always. God bless you.
Few verses from verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. A beast rise up out of the sea. Remember what I told you when we started the book, that in this cyclorama, John was shown several things in symbols and signs. It's important to remember that. For example, when he talked about one who was sitting on the throne, who was, of course, God. And then he talked about a lamb that took a book from the hand of the one who sat on the throne. And the lamb turned out to be Jesus. But what did John see? A lamb. And then he talked about the 4 beasts that were there. See, that didn't mean that they were beasts. So this is a revelation, and it's full of signs, symbolisms, and they require spiritual interpretation. So again it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. 7 heads, 10 horns. How are you going to arrange the horns on the heads? the 7 heads, 10 horns. These are even and odd numbers. How are you going to arrange them? Right? How many will you put on each head? So you can't use your mathematical mind to arrange the horns on the heads. As long as it didn't tell you how many horns on each head, leave that alone. That means it's not important as to how many heads were, or how many horns were on each head. He just told you the beast had 10 horns, 7 heads, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. All right. Now, I want to explain something to you by God's grace tomorrow. I want to show you some more about these 7 heads, the 10 horns, and the beast. And then show you in a couple of places in the Bible what this means. But I want to take you to somewhere that something I wanted to talk about yesterday. Let's keep reading. Verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. The beast, it says, was like unto a leopard. It looked like a leopard. The beast, but had the mouth of, had the feet of, where is it? Yeah, the feet of a bear, and the mouth of a lion. Okay, so this leopard-like beast received great authority and power from the dragon. From the dragon. That's interesting, right? Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads, and that's why I want to explain this to you tomorrow. It says, because about the 7 heads, one of the heads got wounded to death, and then the deadly wound was healed. And this is significant. I need to show it to you. And all the world wandered after the beast. All the world wandered after the beast. So remember, the beast came out of the sea. All right, let's keep moving. Next verse. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. All the world wandered after the beast. They worshiped the dragon, Satan, that great dragon. The people worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast as well. Look at it. They worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. There was given unto him. Who gave it to him? We'll talk about that too. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Interesting. Power was given unto him to continue 42 months. That's 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God. He opened his lion-like mouth in blasphemy against God. Did you notice that? He had the mouth of a lion. Now he opens that lion-like mouth in blasphemy against God. To blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. So who gave to him to make war with the saints? We'll talk about that too. And to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So they're going to worship him. Except those who belong to Jesus Christ. And the ones who resist him, they're going to resist him. But when they resist him, they'll be killed. Look at verse 7 one more time. I explained something here yesterday. It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And I said, what saints are these that he overcame? And I said that these were the saints, those who believed in Jesus after the rapture of the church, and the children of Israel, described as the remnant of the sun-clothed woman, a woman that was clothed with the sun, which the Bible describes for us. So these were the saints that he overcame. But never overcame the church, the body of Christ. Never did. Never did. Never will. In Revelation it says 42 months. Here he says a time and times and the dividing of time. 3.5 years. So he's going to have power over the saints? What saints are these? How could he have power over the saints? Who are these saints? They are the saints of the tribulation period. These are the saints of that era. And there are two groups. The first group we read of in chapter 12, and we did talk about it. Now you go back to Revelation chapter 12. From verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman, the sun-clothed woman, which brought forth the man-child. You remember the man-child we talked about? And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into a place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time. There's that expression from Daniel. You see it? A time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. Next verse. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. See, so in this area, he explains the vision that he saw about the sun-clothed woman. We dealt with this in the last day of phase 2. Okay, now let's keep reading. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. You see, it went after the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So here you see one group, the remnant. And I told you that the church is never called remnants in prophetic language. The remnant always refers to the children of Israel, not the church. Always the children of Israel. And then, of course, you can see which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So there's something that is up, he's against there. the testimony of Jesus Christ. And so the Bible tells us that all those who believe in Jesus Christ in that period will also face persecution. They will be persecuted because the church would have been raptured before this time. First flight would have taken place. And everybody else, everyone else that will come to heaven among those believing in Jesus Christ from all the nations, and the Bible tells us it's going to be a large congregation, for second flight, large congregation from all the nations. We read of that before, we dealt with that, and he tells us they're all going to be killed. Nobody's coming there like the rapture that we had. No, they're all coming, haven't been slain, haven't been killed. That's the only way they come. That's the only way they come. They come to heaven. So remember, we dealt with that also about the souls that were under the altar. The souls that were under the altar. All of them. And then he told them when they cried out for vengeance, he says, wait until others who should be killed like you arrive. So everyone who will go to heaven, who goes through the tribulation period, will only get to heaven by death. That's what the Bible says. There's no other way. So I told you, prepare for the rapture of the church. You see, the church will never be given into the hands of the Antichrist. I want you to understand that. The church will never be given into the hands of the Antichrist. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to show you a few scriptures just so you understand. And that's why we've got to do what we've got to do. We have to stand up against these satanic characters that are sent out. These are Satan's emissaries sent out to the nations, but we are not afraid of them. I'm going to show you scriptures. So let's begin with what happens at the rapture. What the Bible tells us again about the rapture. I've shared some of this with you before, but I want us to look at this. Isaiah chapter 26. We're going to read from verse 19. It says, thy dead men shall live. Together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. And this is extraordinary. This is remarkable. I want to read it to you from the Septuagint. Let's read from the Septuagint. It's much clearer in the Septuagint. The dead shall rise, and they that are in the tombs shall be raised. Did you know this is in the Old Testament? The dead shall rise, and they that are in the tombs shall be raised, and they that are in the earth, they that are in the earth shall rejoice. Oh Lord. It says, for see, the dew from thee is healing to them, but the land of the ungodly shall perish. Now, go to verse 20, next verse. Go, my people, enter into thy closets, shut thy door, hide thyself for a little season until the anger of the Lord have passed away. Did you see that? Now, go back to King James. I want you to see verse 19, how it is expressed. He says, come, my people, Enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. Now, the indignation refers to the wrath of God, the period of judgment, which the Bible tells us will take place in those 3.5 years that we read about in the book of Daniel and in the book of Revelation. But it starts, remember, the whole period is 7 years. When God returns to dealing with the children of Israel in the calendar of God. This will be the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy of 70 weeks. So we are between the 69th week and the 70th week. And these are weeks of years. These are weeks of years, meaning that each week is 7 years. So between the 69th week, that includes the death of the Messiah, and the 70th week, the church comes in. And I told you before, the church has 2 days. What we just read here is about the resurrection of the dead. And here he says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. Now, at that period, during the tribulation period, I told you about the children of Israel fleeing to Edom and Moab. And I showed you scriptures. That will not be their chambers. So he's not talking about them going into their chambers. No. Edom and Moab will be receiving. That's not their chambers. That will be the time of Jacob's trouble. So that's not a time of rest. He's dealing here with the rapture of the church. And because it was a mystery, it could not be understood.